Some expenses just kind of drip, 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 drip out of your account every month, like the rent or the mortgage, groceries, gas, that kind of thing. And some expenses hit you like a tidal wave. It's like this massive shock to the system. It's all at once, it's massive. Could be like a car repair or a vet bill or something like that. If you don't have savings, those expenses are probably going to end up on a credit card and might be hanging around for a long time as you try to pay them off. Instead, maybe you would benefit from setting up something called a sinking fund. What is that? And does it have anything to do with a boat? No, the answer is no. We're going to talk with Reni Odetoyinbo today. She is the founder of Reni The Resource about sinking funds. Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. So, people are very familiar with what emergency funds are, less so sinking funds. What is a sinking fund?
I like to say the sinking fund is a mini savings account that has a specific mission. The money there is meant to be spent for whatever mission that you have. For example, I am somebody who pays my annual life insurance I pay it on an annual basis rather than a monthly basis because it's much cheaper. But I don't want that bill to just, pop up randomly and it's $1,000+ and now I have to stop saving or investing that month because that bill has popped up. So instead, I save for it every single month until May when that payment comes up. And then I always have the money there. It's pretty great.
Okay. How many sinking funds do you have? If you've got one, especially for life insurance, you must have multiple.
I do. I have a lot of sinking funds. So I have one for Christmas gifts because I like to give Christmas gifts, but again, I don't want to go into debt for it. I have one for my car repairs. I have one for travel because travel is very important to me and I love to travel all the time. And then I have a few others just for like black tax, which is something that some people are taxed with, and other things. So yeah, I have quite a few sinking funds.
What did you call that last one?
Black tax. It's typically when it's a phenomenon that a lot of people of color face where people will ask them for money, like family members or friends will ask them for money. And, if you want to give to others without putting yourself into debt, you'll save for that money.
I have
So,
never heard that phrase. I've never
yeah.
heard that phrase. That's so interesting. Okay, so how do you fund those sinking funds? Have you got like a series of 13,000 automatic transfers?
I do actually. So
You don't have to,
everything.
you should be proud of that here. You don't have to be embarrassed. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. No, this is a virtue. This is why we're here. This is why you're running the
You're right.
resource.
You are right. Yeah. Honestly, it's made my life easier, so I should not be embarrassed about it. But I have a separate account, like a mini savings account for each different fund that I mentioned. And then on paydays, I get paid every other Friday. And then every other Saturday, the money will come automatically out of my account and go directly into all of those different accounts. So everything is automated, has nothing to do with me. I know that if I relied on myself, it probably would not happen. So I've left it to the computer or the bank to do it for me.
And now you have to be sure that there is going to be sufficient money there in order for
Yeah.
those automatic transfers to be completed successfully. How do you approach that? Is it effectively a budget?
Yes, exactly. So I think the first key is understanding how much money is coming into your account each month and how much money is going out of your account each month. A lot of people, I find that they set goals. Let's say, okay, I want to go traveling. I'm going to save $300 a month towards travel. But does your current income level and your current expense level actually allow you to save $300 a month? For many people, it may not. And then what happens is they actually end up having to consistently take out of their travel fund because they don't have money to pay for the regular bills. So I first made sure that I looked at everything that's in my account, how much money is typically going out. So I looked at my past 3 months of statements and I found a reasonable amount that I can dedicate to each of these different goals that I have. And then, sometimes there are seasons of your life where you're making less money. For example, if you lose your job or if there's just a huge expense that happens. So in those months, you may change your automation slightly as
Hmm.
well. So it's
I
very
mentioned
flexible.
I mentioned off the top this notion of an emergency fund, and one of my pet peeves is that people, would call a car repair an emergency, and I would say, you own the car, you're going to have a repair there, you shouldn't plan for it. So, how do you think
Yeah.
about actual emergencies, like things that really came up that you could not have known about?
Yeah, you're so right. I have an emergency fund just for that. And then everything else, as you said, I know that my car, every year, there's going to be something that happens, So I make sure to plan ahead for that. And again, if you aren't sure, maybe look at the past few years of statements. I know it's a lot, it can be overwhelming, but look at how much you've typically had to spend on your car over the past few years. For me, emergencies are things like job loss. You can't really predict that you're going to lose your job, or maybe you can in some situations, but for most people, you can't predict that you're going to lose your job. So that's something that would be for your emergency fund. Or something like a family member passing away and then you having to fly to the funeral. That's something that would come out of your emergency fund. But those miscellaneous expenses that happen, those are not emergencies. They are things that you can save for in a sinking fund.
How have you found inexpensive ways to set up these accounts? Because with the big five banks, there are often fees that go alongside each of these accounts, and setting up so many of them would be cost prohibitive.
Yeah, I've done them with the online only banks, so the no fee online only banks. For example, EQ, Simply, all those different online only banks. They actually, some of them will allow you to open up to 10 different sinking funds inside of your main savings account. So completely free for all of them. You can automate them all. It's no fee.
Right.
I love
And then
them.
it becomes almost like a label of different buckets of money inside of an account. So they're not all different accounts necessarily.
Exactly. So it's kind of like sub accounts within your main account,
Mm.
and then you can choose the name of each individual account. So I have one saying vacation 2025, so that I know that this is specifically for my vacation fund. And I find that it also allows me to make sure that I'm more disciplined as well. Because if somebody asks me for money and I'm a generous person, I would love to give them money, but I'm like, am I really going to take out of my house fund or my travel fund for this person? Probably
Mm.
not. So then it allows me to not do that.
Right. What are the pitfalls of this approach? So, the merits of it, the benefits of it, the opportunity of it, they all make perfect sense. And I love how clear you are in your methodology. It doesn't necessarily work for everyone, or not everyone is able to pull it off in this way. So, what are some of the pitfalls you would flag?
A pitfall of I'm trying to think because I think the seeking counts are some of the best things ever. I think it only becomes detrimental if you don't use it in the proper way. So one thing that I find is that some people, again, they overestimate how much they can put in each account, and then they're constantly pulling from their main checking account and going into all these accounts, but then having to dip in it constantly. So that would be one thing, but that's because they're not setting it up right. And then I also find that some people I work with, they are putting money there, but then they don't want to use it because they feel like they've gotten the number. Oh my gosh, I've saved $1,000 for this, but then when it comes time to spend it, they're like, oh, but that means my account's going to go to zero, and I don't want to. So I think that's something I see often with people that I've worked with.
You and I are in different generations. I
Yeah.
have a couple of decades on you, though I've been focused on personal finance for a really long time. What do you think is different for your generation, perhaps, than for my generation in terms of how we think about and organize personal finance?
I think for my generation, a lot of times we are very focused on living our best lives when using our finances to live our best lives. Whereas oftentimes I find like with my parents' generation, they were very focused on, okay, let's buy the house, let's buy the car, let's do this, which is great. And that obviously set a great foundation for all of us. But we are focused on, okay, let's see how much we can put away for saving for a vacation or saving for maybe a car as well, but things that maybe not actually build true wealth in the long run. So I think our priorities are just a little bit different, which may also lend to obviously the economy is a bit different and getting into the housing market is very
Yeah.
different than back then. Yeah.
You are very active online. Most of your generation is very active in a social media context. What do you find resonates the most about the stuff that you put out there?
I think what resonates most is the fact that it's coming from someone who is exactly like them. So I look like them, I act like them, I have the same goals as them. So it makes it feel like, oh, if this person can get good with their money, I probably can as well. It's different when you're hearing, somebody who is twice your age saying, you should save for a house. And it's like, okay, but the housing market's a bit different than when you were buying a house. So I think
Yeah.
it's just the relatability factor that really helps us.
Yeah, you could say okay boomer. Right. That would be the pejorative version of that. Now,
Your words, not
I
mine.
know I'm not even a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. What would
Yeah.
you say was the key thing for you? Because this isn't new to you. You bought your first home at what, 23 or something? What was
Mhm.
critical to you that set you on this course of living at the intersection of what you want and your goals and the work required to make it happen?
Honestly, I always like to give a big credit to my parents. My parents taught me about financial literacy from a very young age. So I think they taught me about delayed gratification as a child. And that just helped me to know that, okay, everything that I want to achieve is possible, but you have to first work for it. And it may not happen immediately as well. So I started investing when I was just 18 years old, and I invested for 5 years, and I used that money to purchase my first house, as you mentioned. But I've always just been, focused on, yes, I want to live my best life, but I also need to have these building blocks set in place before I'm able to do all of that. So
Nice.
shout out to my parents. They were a great influence and very helpful.
That's amazing. Hooray. Shout out to your parents 100%. And Reni, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Reni Odetoyinbo was here to talk about sinking funds, a little bit about her personal story, but also about how that tool could be a really effective way to get a handle on and keep a handle on your money.